Assalamu alaikum. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness there is no God but Allah, who came to us in the person of Master Farid Muhammad, to whom all praise is forever due. We thank him for raising in our midst his exalted Christ, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. We thank them both for their mercy in our midst. Our teacher, our guide, a light-giving son, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. In those names, I greet all of you in the words of peace. Assalamu alaikum. Brothers and sisters, I want to welcome you to Real Love in Real Life. We will be together for 1 hour this evening. And we're here tonight because those of you who know me and know of me or about me know that I love that we are in the time of our separation from the children of our parent slave masters, the enemies of our liberation. But I am also beginning to see that the sacred institution of marriage is hanging by a thread. And without love and unity between the original man and the original woman, there really is no point in us going into a land of our own. Because without the restoration of that love, there can be no healthy families. Without families, there are no communities. And without communities, there can be no nation. And so this brings us to this evening. And I'm going to be joined by two wonderful people, a brother and sister that many of you know. And if you don't, these are two people that are very active in the major initiatives of the Nation of Islam. And they're going to help field your questions tonight, both those that were submitted in advance and those that you will send to us across the chat room. And so first I want to introduce to you Sister Donna Muhammad, who is a student in the ministry. She is a writer for the #1 newspaper in the world, the Final Call newspaper. And I know that all of you have your subscription to the digital edition of the Final Call newspaper. And it was actually specifically Sister Donna's idea to do this Q&A tonight. And so, Sister Donna, thank you for lending your expertise. She's also the person who manages my online bookstore, which is just getting up and going at ministerava.com. And so we're glad that you, as a wife and mother of a beautiful Muslim family, were able to take the time to be with us this evening. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Thank you. Praise be to Allah.
Yes, ma'am. And also joining us and really making this happen is our technical genius, multifaceted talent, in demand here in Chicago and all over the nation. Also heavily engaged, not only with the Ministry of Information, but also with Project Separation. And he is one of the administrators of the course Self-Improvement, the basis for community development. And that is the one and only Brother Troy Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum, Brother Troy.
Wa alaikum salam, Minister Ava.
All right. So happy to see you. And I know you're growing in fame and popularity because every Friday you handle self-improvement. And of course, people are flocking now to the video conference at headquarters of the Friday night study group, because we're, as circumstances and events are manifesting that were predicted by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and that he prepared us for, are now coming to pass. It has brought about a renewed interest in the course. And of course, if we wish to be successful, we need to engage in that process. So here we are tonight to talk about real love in real life. I just will say this too. I talk to a lot of couples, particularly premarital counseling, but some of my couples, after they're married, will come and call me again, and problems will come up. And I would just say this, I have been married to Brother Darius Muhammad. Next month will be 31 years. Minister Farrakhan performed our marriage ceremony. We were the first couple to be married in Mosque Mariam after the nation regained it. And I can just say to you, and I'm sure he would too if he came on here, that marriage is not easy. It is a trial. It is a difficulty. But remember, we are taught there is a difficulty factor attached to everything of value. And the greater the value, the greater the difficulty. And one of the most valuable endeavors in our lives is to marry and unite with that person who we will, together with, travel the path into oneness with Allah. And so there is joy in it, there's happiness in it. But anybody who tells you their marriage is perfect doesn't have a marriage. There's no such thing. How can a marriage be perfect when people are not perfect? We're flawed, and we bring our flaws into our relationships. The world is flawed. And so just take some comfort in knowing that you are not alone in encountering problems. And every marriage is like a fingerprint. Just like you have a unique fingerprint, a unique voice print that no one living, dead, or yet to be born has, your marriage is not like any other one before, during, or after. And so you have to customize the path, the method by which you stay on the path and stay in that marriage. So let's get started.
Yes, ma'am. Praise due to Allah. So I'll post the first question. And I believe this was kind of one of the questions that helped to spark this. And that is, how important is chemistry, emotional, in building, advancing a courtship to engagement to marriage?
Yes, sir. Well, if we look at chemistry itself as a science, some scientists call it the central science, because it's all about the interaction and bonding of atoms and molecules that come together to form other compounds, and then life begins to evolve and be advanced. And so generally in a male-female relationships, when people talk about chemistry, they're talking about an attraction that exists between a man and a woman on an unseen level. It's when you're with this person, you feel comfortable, you feel happy, you have a sense of understanding of one another. And of course, chemistry is important. Both the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan have said, find someone you can look at and love in terms of finding a mate. And so it has its place. It's important in advancing a courtship. Marriage should never, ever, ever be forced. Marriage should never be the product of a personal need that you would be able to handle on your own, but you just want someone else to take care of it for you. You don't want to get married strictly because you believe it's going to make you more financially stable. If you're not feeling that connection with that other person, that at least gives the relationship the potential to be successful. You have to have a foundation to build on. It can't be based on what other people are saying, or external circumstances that will change over time. And we always have to remember, we're taught, don't forget your primary source in life. Minister Farrakhan wrote in the study guides that one reason we're dissatisfied in our relationships is we forget who the primary source is, and we turn to the secondary source for resolution of our problems. There's only one primary source, and that's Allah, the Creator, God, the Supreme Being, the Lord of the worlds, the originator. So at all times, you have to seek guidance from Him. He is the one that ordained marriage. And so since He ordained it, then He is heavily interested in making sure our relationships succeed. So one of the keys to increasing the potential that a marriage will be successful is that you have a shared belief system, that you're not at odds in your perception of God, your perception of faith, your theological inclinations, because those differences can grow into huge problems later down the road.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for the same. Now, on the next one, I want to read it because it's actually what gave rise to this whole concept of this real love and real love in real life Q&A. And it's what we want the book to spark, actually, which is dialogue, discussion, and study. So I want to read this because there's context to the question that's going to come out of it. And I'm going to read it as our brother wrote it. Okay? And he said, in the book Real Love, you wrote, some women get upset when they learn that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches that by nature, men do not care about satisfying women. This is not to put women down. This is to help us face reality. He said it is not in their nature. It is true, and you know it. Concern for whether a woman is pleased does not come natural to a man, but he can learn how to respond to a woman's feelings. So this brother said he searched through Facebook to see what perspectives believers were offering as to what this means to them. And he said, I still believe I do not fully understand what this statement means. I asked one of my brothers from another city about the meaning of this statement. And while saying he had to study it more before making a public comment, the words he texted were, I think about when the minister says we aren't born with patience. We have to learn it, but it is a trait we need. So is it possible? So he asked this. So is it possible that that's the same thing with satisfying a woman? It's not something we are born caring about, but something we learn and grow into. I found that his words resonated with me more than what I was seeing from other people. So he wants to know, is it true that men have to develop more spiritually in order to care about satisfying a woman? Sort of like how we all have to grow into patience. And he also asked, could men growing into a more matured spiritual state put us into the mind of caring about it? And is this connected to the secret of God, which is contained in the woman? Wow. And there's a lot in that, but the essence of it is are we going to grow into it, or how does that happen for a man?
Yes, that very powerful, and it goes right into one of the most profound aspects of this entire teaching, and that is the understanding of the self-creation of Allah and his first act after his self-creation, which was the creation of woman. We have to understand that because something is not innate, it does not mean there are not other innate traits that when they evolve, they will cause us to develop that particular trait. And there's a reason why certain traits are not in us. Just like there are things present, there are things that are absent, and it's all for a reason. But when the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that, he doesn't mean the man doesn't care about the protection or provision of the woman, the mother of his children, his life mate. Another meaning of care is when one goes out of one's way and takes time to do something a certain way so that someone else is satisfied with it. That's what he's talking about. Now, why is that? Allah, the self-created God, the originator, was in cold, dark space for trillions of years, alone, by himself. We don't know how long he was there because there was no one to keep a record. And you look at this exquisite organism, the human body, came out of his imagination, his development of the science to self-create. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said he wanted to be able to think, so he created a brain to try to cope with that concept. And so after being alone for almost an eternity, he came out of that with being, as he says in the Quran, Allah is above me of his creation. He is the center of his own existence. He is first, he is last, he is always. And so his first concern is that all that is in creation is a reflection of himself. That's not selfishness, such as we indulge in on the lower level. This is the right of the self-created God, who is the originator of the heavens and the earth. So in his masculine manifestation, there is that same sense of being charged with being the protector, the provider, the source. When you are the source and the supplier of the needs of the family, the needs of the community, then you don't prioritize what the woman and the children necessarily express as, well, I need this to feel satisfied. It doesn't mean that he's not willing to meet her needs. It means he's not prioritizing. It's not essential to his own sense of self. Conversely, the woman is made to seek to satisfy the male. Why is that? Because the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that once he completed his self-creation, he went on a search. He wanted a different being than himself. And out of that search, he studied himself. And why did he want another self? Companionship? Yes. But above all, recognition and the ability to reproduce himself. And so it was from himself that he brought forth this different being through whom he could reproduce himself and in whom he could hide and protect the secret of his self-creation. And that is called woman. She is called woman, his second self. So there's nothing demeaning about it, but number one is number one. That's the reality that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was conveying. And then I would say this, remember, I think I quoted him even this past Sunday, but Minister Farrakhan has said more than once, man, and man in the Hebrew and Arabic and original language means male and female. Man is an underdeveloped God. And so when the male and the female are in their underdeveloped state, which is where we all are now, then you don't have the development of these refined attributes that eventually we can all develop if we stay on the path. When Allah came out of the darkness of space, he did not possess the attribute of mercy. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said what came out of that darkness was a warrior who had to fight his way into existence. So he didn't come out sympathetic, empathetic. This was something that evolved in him over an eternal number of years. He has 99 attributes. They have a theological order. And the highest one is mercy. And so when we take on these attributes of Allah, and there is one or more of his attributes that he has placed in each and every one of us. And Minister Farrakhan said, the particular attributes he gave you, or the combination thereof, because the minister said he couples his attributes. He'll say the beneficent, the merciful, all right? So he's coupled and combined various levels of his attributes. No one of us is him, but you and I and every one of us, every human being has the potential to manifest that attribute that he gave you in perfection, 100%, so that when people see you do it, or when they experience the results of you doing what you do and being what you are, they are actually experiencing Allah himself.
Wow, that was beautiful. Very profound. Very profound. And we want to thank everybody. So many people submitted questions in advance. And we want to encourage everybody that's in the comments section. There's also a question box that you can complete your questions in that we can get to. We have a lot of questions to get through. The next question,
I'll be more brief.
while it came from one, oh no, man, we want whatever Allah puts in you, let it come forth. But the next question comes from a sister that's actually it's a question that's often asked and is being experienced throughout not only the Nation of Islam, but just the overall broader population of Black women. And that question is, it says, what advice would you give to a sister who is in the 55 plus age range with regards to finding someone? Because we know just because we're mature or more seasoned doesn't mean we're trying to be alone forever.
You know, it is, let me be very blunt. It is the Caucasian who has fixated us on numbers and on biology. And I remember the minister saying to me when I got into my 30s and still was not married, that we don't have biological clocks like the maid race does. They had a definitive start and a definitive ending. We are forever. Now, I'm not saying that to get spooky, and I'm not saying that to put you in a dream world. But what I am saying is Allah has his reasons for what he does. You don't have to find a mate. The female doesn't find the mate. The male finds. Okay? The man is born, though he has the predisposition to marry because it's ordained, it's dormant. It's active in the female almost from birth. I joke and say we come out of the womb with our list of bridesmaids and looking for a wedding gown. But the male's desire to marry is only active once he determines what his goal in life is. She's called a help meet. So she can't help him meet a goal if he doesn't have one.
That's right.
My husband is 8.5 years younger than me. Okay. And I always envision myself marrying somebody older because my father was 11 years older than my mother. Okay. And so all that to say, and initially I was not interested in my husband because I felt he was too young. And I couldn't have been more wrong. And so you have to, as our Christian brothers and sisters say, let go and let God and open up your mind and wait on the Lord. Because that 55, 60, these are not the same as they once were. Reverend Dr. Barbara King, who is still among us, it must have been almost 20 years since I attended her wedding in Atlanta, Georgia. Minister Farrakhan was there. She got married at the age of 75.
Come on.
And she came down that aisle in a white gown. It was her first marriage. She came down that aisle in a white gown. And Della Reese performed the ceremony. It was a big church wedding like somebody 19 years old would have. We are the original people of this planet. And if we were living right, we would be here for 1,000 years. And so as the universal change is taking place, we have to fight being anxious because we see the end of this world coming, and calm down and try to prepare. And of course, I'm saying all this doesn't mean I've got this together. Please, I'm just sharing what I'm reading from and learning from this beautiful body of teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad under my teacher, Minister Louis Farrakhan. But I have been married 30 years, almost 31. And I can tell you, part of sustaining a relationship, you just have to ride the waves. And the art of being single and the art of being alone is to utilize your singleness, because Allah, there's something he wants to establish with you while you're single and have the freedom to be able to commit yourself to the development of that which he wants you to have, or he wants you to contribute to our newborn nation.
That's really beautiful. I wanted to share something based on what you said about not finding, that it's not on the woman. I always like to liken us to flowers. We're the flowers in the garden, the woman. And the flower doesn't go out looking for the gardener. She stays planted and blooms where she is, and the gardener comes to her and cultivates her in that soil. That flower never goes out for the gardener.
That's
but
exactly
she has to be
right.
placed in the right environment to flourish. And you brought back memories too, because my parents are 11 years apart, and my husband's slightly younger than me too. And I got married at Dr. King's church by you. So as you were the first
one of my favorite couples.
We were the first couple upon you being established as the Southern Regional minister.
Right. That's right.
This is really beautiful. So we're going to bring in Brother Troy, who's going to ask us the next set of questions.
Well, my question, or not my question, the question that I'm asking is a lot less light than the others. How does one rekindle trust, security, and real love after 14 years of marriage and not divorce? Here's the context. After 10 years of marriage and your spouse gets an STD that you didn't give to him and that he can't get rid of, I'm asking I remain anonymous.
Yes, sir. Well, only Allah can tell you exactly what to do, but I want to say this to all of us. We're all entitled to freedom, justice, and equality. Allah hates divorce, but he permits it. Because sometimes a marriage may reach a point where the relationship has been so damaged because of betrayal that neither party can really submit to him. See, again, Allah's desire is that we reflect him. And when there's a betrayal that takes place, this is very difficult to come out of. We're not talking about just your ordinary run-of-the-mill failure, the flaws, the weaknesses, but a betrayal against the marriage. And I remember we just finished Study Guide 16, and remember, Brother Troy, Sister Donna, in the introductory letter, the minister mentioned adultery. And he said that an adulterer is like a termite who eats away at the foundation of the house. And then, of course, we know termites can bring your whole house down, as small as they are, because they eat away at its foundation. The reason Allah is so against adultery and why it's considered such a major breach of the restrictive laws is because it wreaks havoc on the formation of trust, security, love, and then the family. If there are children, it affects the children. And what it does, you take a sacred relationship of two people and you bring another party into that relationship unbeknownst to your partner. And even if you say, oh, it was just one night or I slipped up, but you still introduce someone into that relationship. And it doesn't mean there are not situations where this breach of trust can be overcome with with atonement. However, no one should ever feel that they are obligated or mandated to live with someone in whom they cannot trust. But that is a decision that has to be made by that individual. But to rekindle trust depends on the person who broke the trust. That's their job, to rekindle it and to prove that this was something that is so out of character that your partner can trust that it will never happen again.
Praise due to Allah. Thank you very much. We have people that are joining, and we're looking forward to. Please make sure that you like and share. I know those who are on are enjoying this discussion. Please make sure that you're liking it and sharing it with all of those that you know need to be hearing this, which I don't think there's anyone that's exempt from that. So I'm going to go ahead and move to the next question. And it looks like it's a two-part question. It says, I have a hard time understanding love. I know that I want the best for my children. How do I love anyone properly? I don't understand love. And then the other part, it just says, I want to understand love from a side that is not emotional. So go back again. How do I love properly and I don't understand love?
That's profound there. Well, the first thing that we have to understand is that love is not an emotion. It's perceived as one and commonly treated as an emotion. But emotions, as Minister Farrakhan teaches us, are an emotion is an intensified feeling. Okay, love is actually the creative force. It's a force, and it is the force from which Allah created the universe and everyone and everything in it. That's the power of love. And it's really almost, I admire the humility of the person saying that, because who among us really has a complete understanding of that? A force so powerful, it brings life into existence. You want the best for your children. Your children are here because Allah wanted them here. You and their mother are the agents, the conduits through whom He brought them into His world. And so it is only right that you do the best for them. But if you always keep in your mind that love originates with the originator, and it's the force that gave him the will. It was his desire to live. And that's what love is. Love is life. It's the desire to live and to give life and to protect life, the most valuable gift that Allah gave us. And He gave it to every one of us. We're taught that when Allah gives you a gift, you have to accept it. And all of us have the gift of life. So our gracious acceptance of our life is manifested in how well we treat ourselves. So the first person you have to love properly. And by loving yourself properly, that means you respect your life and you do right by yourself. You do that, and then everyone else. Accept your own and be yourself.
Beautiful. Thank you so much
All praise to be for Allah.
for these responses. And the questions, they range the gambit as we're dealing with, and it's beautiful.
Well, of course, we know with technology, sometimes they are,
Right.
but we're going to continue to work through that as Sister Donna comes back on. And I just want to once again thank all of those who are joining us for this first time, but Allah willing, it will not be the last time. And we see people who are in the comments asking, can they ask questions here? You sure can. If you go to Minister Ava's website now, there's actually a link that is right up under the video, which will allow you to ask questions there, and that'll make it a little bit easier for us if you can put those questions here. But please continue to make sure that you're liking and sharing this with across social media so that people know what's going on, and make sure you visit the website, and you can see it streaming right there at the bottom of the screen, ministerava.com. So make sure don't just visit the site. There's some other products that are there, some that you've seen before, some that I know you haven't. So make sure that you go ahead and visit and explore the site if you have not already. And I'm handing it right back over to Sister Donna. And your microphone is muted.
Sorry, new technologies. Okay, so I have two questions. The first one I'm going to ask is, again, kind of along a more challenging line of the relationship. And then we're going to move into a beautiful courtship question. Because we want to start off on the right foot. But this first one is, should an individual stay in a marriage where their mate uses drugs as a coping mechanism? And it seems many of the marital issues stem from the individual's diluted thought process from years on drug use, where simple issues can't begin to even be discussed nor resolved. Because to them, to even say there's an issue that needs to be discussed starts an argument. I love my mate. Is there anything a woman could do to help her husband out of this condition to have a successful marriage?
Yes, well, because drugs alter the mind, you are really going to need to seek some external assistance. It is very difficult within the marriage itself, because of your love for your husband, your desire to support him. It impacts your ability to step back and try to analyze and assess what it may take to overcome, to cope with the drug use and ultimately overcome it. And that, again, is a matter of the individual. There's no generic therapy, whether it's spiritual or health or otherwise, that I could sit here and say, do this or do that. But you're absolutely right. It is an impediment to any effort to try to bring about peace and harmony in the marriage. Now, understand that we live in such a horrific world. As Satan is going down, he's going down fighting. He's going down trying to take as many of us with him as possible. And as the minister has spoken on, you know, the real high that Allah intended for us to have is the high that one gets from having an idea and being able to bring that idea into fruition. The God, Master Fard Muhammad, envisioned a nation of gods, a nation of people who could organize themselves, who could unite together, who could create visions and then bring those visions together into one and bring that vision into a reality. When you're engaged in something on that divine high level, then you don't need the artificial drugs that are being manufactured in this world's life that people rely upon to help them cope. And all you can do in the interim is to continue to pray. You need Allah's help. I don't want any of us to forget, and I need people to remind me all the time. You know, you've got to call upon the God, test him. He said, pray to me, I will answer. Go to him. I confess my faults. I mean, I always have to say that to him, even though I know he already knows it. But he knows that I'm always coming to him, as he says in the Quran, lengthy in supplication, and then get up and go right back to business as usual. Okay, we're all struggling to overcome the gravitational pull of a wicked, wicked world that is going down. We're actually the winner. If we can get one another to see we're in the winner's circle, then that will begin to affect our behavior and our confidence. But in the meantime, seek assistance through prayer, but you may also want to seek some outside assistance and intervention to help the two of you together. Because in a marriage, the problems of one is the problem of both. And may Allah bless you with success.
Thank you for that. And I pray that we take it to heart, the things that are being said this evening, and put them into practice. Now, the courtship, there's a lot of courtship questions. I'm just going to hit just a couple of them right now. And some of them do focus directly on this time frame that we're on. The question was asked, is courtship still permissible during COVID-19? And they also asked, is it okay to spend time out with each other in public places without other couple or persons present during courtship? So I'll just start with those two.
Well, first of all, in the Nation of Islam, our courtship process is a service to our community. We're not a cult, and so if you're of age, we're not going to tell you who you can marry. However, it is in your very best interest, especially the female, that you follow our process of courtship. And one of the reasons that we require that a married couple accompany the couple in courtship when they go on their outings out in public. Very bluntly, it's to protect the reputation of the woman. That's the purpose of it. You know, our community is not huge, and because a nation can rise no higher than its woman, then it's important and it's in our best interest that we secure and maintain the reputation of the women in our community who are striving to remain chaste and believing women. Now, in a courtship is when two people begin to spend time together with an eye toward marriage. It's not dating. It's not, let's just go out and have some fun and, you know, I'll see you the next time, or I'm gonna go see somebody else next week. Courting is initiated with the thought, I would possibly be interested in this person as a life mate. Now, it may not result in a marriage. So what happens then, particularly to the female? You don't want this marriage, this courtship to create conversation, whispering, speculation on what is going on, because a real man is willing to present himself and make himself known to the family and community of that woman who care about her best interest. And this is why we tell our young girls, no, you don't let somebody take you behind bushes or get in the back of somebody's car or sit in a dark movie theater and have relations, physical relations. You don't do that. Everything needs to be out in the open. And I think that what I would want to suggest at this point, as this COVID-19 continues to move through the landscape and the guidelines change every day, and we in Chicago at the Executive Council are working now to gather together our specialists, our doctors, specialists in infectious disease, virology, biology, to talk about treatment plans and these kinds of things. I don't think this is a good time, personally, to get into a courtship. I would give that a little while longer, and whatever interest is being shown or communications are being had, that should be done via telephone, email, and some form of maybe social media where you can have a private conversation. But don't look at it as intrusive. Look at it as to the benefit of the female that another couple accompanies them. Our courtships are also not lengthy. You don't need 2 years to decide what you want to do, because there's only so much you can learn about a person until you live with them. You pray to God, you go on, the very first question someone asks about chemistry, and as we're told, you find someone you can look at and love, that the potential is there, and you find out as much about one another as you can. In terms of the profile of that person, that means a lot, their background, and then you go ahead and everything. But for now, I would take courtship a little slow and leave it in the realm of written and phone communication.
Praise due to Allah. Thank you. Thank you. I just want to acknowledge all of those who are on and participating. Please continue to like and share. We have people all around the country who have bought the book, who are looking to buy the book, who are just so excited that they've had the opportunity to come on and hear you. And we're looking forward to those questions. Just updated the site. All the questions are not going to get answered at all tonight, but you can still go to the site and at ministerava.com and submit your questions, and we'll be looking through those So look forward to those questions. And I'm going to pass it back over to Sister Donna. And time is just flying. I think we got like 10 minutes. So maybe if we can, Sister Donna, if you can snatch at least one more question, and we can then give Minister Ava an opportunity to close. Or did she freeze on us?
I think we.
Okay. Okay, so give me a second.
Technology. Someone did send me a text that the audio is not good quality, so we're going to work on that because we're going to do more of these. And I'm also going to work on answering some of the questions via the website between now and the next time we all come together.
Yes, ma'am. So I'm gonna take that. I'm gonna jump to this one. I do see this one, which is in the. Someone shared this in the comments. It says in the book Real Love, it states members should get married within 4 months. With the high rate of divorce, should the time of 4 months should be extended to at least 1 year before marriage?
That's a very good question because, as I just mentioned, the Nation of Islam historically has had a brief courtship period. And in the earlier days of the teachings, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was not big on having big weddings, elaborate weddings. And so now there has been much going on in the world, external circumstances, just like I just mentioned with COVID. You might want to pull back and limit the nature of the courtship just to conversation. And again, what the Nation of Islam offers our members is a service. It's not a mandate. And don't let anybody tell you, by the way, as an adult, who you can and cannot marry. It's just that we try to provide a methodology and a system, and above all, protection and your reputation, especially the woman. And the more involvement that the community and family has in a marriage, the more likely that marriage is to be successful. Because you're not only doing this for yourself, you're doing this as part of a family and as a community. And I am getting more messages, Brother Troy, about the audio. So
yes, ma'am. Yeah, I'm not sure. It may be an internet connection issue, but I still can make you out. But yeah, there is a problem with the audio. But I think just can I see in the chat, is everybody still able to hear what Minister Ava is saying, even though it is a little choppy? Well, nobody's responding, but we're at that time anyway. I'm gonna thank everyone who has joined us tonight. Someone did ask one question. This will be the last question. Will there be a part 2?
Yes, there will. And we'll let you know in the next few days, no more than a week, when the next one will be. And it won't be far. And we'll get our technical difficulties worked out. But I'm so humbled, Brother Troy, and honored that my brothers and sisters are taking the time. I think we are getting a positive response that we can still do. But I'm humbled by this, and I'm grateful to you and to Sister Donna for taking the time. But we really, now that I'm a mother and a grandmother, I'm very concerned that as we move into separation, that we go into this new territory and we shed the disunity and the hostility that has been manufactured by the enemy between the Black man and the Black woman. That's got to come to an end. We've got to restore our deep love for one another. It's there. We've just been made to push it back to the side by this falsehood that we've been living under. And so this is why we're doing this.
Thank you. Everybody is showing so much love. Everyone, I believe, has definitely enjoyed this program. And we know, as Ava said, that everybody has a lot going on, especially during this time. So we want to thank you. And Minister Ava, I want to, of course, provide you an opportunity for any closing words or what people may be expecting. You know, what else is going on the website? You know, what
Yes, sir.
any updates that you can give and along with your closing words.
Well, one of the things I want to tell everybody, please, if you, I have it on my Facebook page, and others should have posted it by now. But remember when Minister Farrakhan delivered the criterion, he had asked Allah to have the baby planes fly all over the United States that day. And that day and that night, not only were the baby planes visible, but some were able to see the mother plane. And so there is now the video of the sightings by people of all walk of life on their phones and other devices of the mother plane and the baby planes. And that shows us, beloved, there's nothing for you to fear. We have complete backup from Allah and His Christ. And I want you to make sure you get Real Love. I have it now available, thanks to Sister Donna Muhammad, in ebook where you can instantly, you can get your copy on ministerava.com and download it instantly. And we're going to start having it so that I may have these little video clips where I'll be taking questions on a consistent basis. And going to this program into the future, we'll have guests that will come on who have expertise in certain areas of marriage and relationships, because we really want the best for our children. That's what all of this is about. And a happy Black woman and a happy Black man make for a household, a home that our sweet children can grow up in and flourish. So this has just been an absolute pleasure for me. It's exhilarating. And I'm honored that each and every one of you took your time to join us this evening.
All praises are due to Allah. So we are not going to keep you, even though I know people don't want to leave.
Well, wait, there's something exciting coming up soon. We can't give you the exact date, but would you like to share the Real Love course?
Oh, yes. We're working too on developing a curriculum where we will have a 4-part course in Real Love. It's going to be entitled the same as this program, Real Love in Real Life, where we can go a little more deeper into the practical application. And just quickly, for example, one person was asking about single sisters who have children. You know, this community now is more populated by single parents than it is by married parents. So as we develop our communities and our new existence and reality, we have to make sure that everyone is happy and comfortable and protected. So we'll be talking about the practical application of love and relationships. And that expands into child rearing and just being able to get the best out of the life that Allah has given us. So thank you again. And may Allah bless us all with love and the light of understanding. I hope I see you Friday night for study group. We're in Hypocrisy and Conspiracy, study guide number 17. And don't worry about that either, because they plan and Allah plans. And Allah is the best of plans. Love you all. Assalamu alaikum.
Make sure you visit study.noi.org so that you can keep up to date with the assignments. And we look forward to you tomorrow. Oh no, I'm speeding things up. This Friday, 7:30. Make sure we're in at study group. Assalamu alaikum, all.
Assalamu alaikum.